My name is Chris Sokolexis. I am the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Penobscot Nation.
With the fire crackling and the boys around it, the day became dark. Susip was tracing the outline of the arrowhead with his fingertip. Awasus looked at the arrowhead and reached for his sheath and took out a stone blade. The arrowhead and the blade had been from the cow moose. Grandfather had told them a story on the day he made the blade and arrowhead. The boys remembered how the shape appeared from the stones that Muckway had given Grandfather. Muckway needed a new paddle and Father had just made one, and Muckway thanked him with those stones. They were black with small gray flecks. One night, Grandfather had struck those stones with another stone, and sharp pieces came away from the stone. The first strike sheared off a piece that landed near Susep. The second one, Grandfather motioned to Awasus and then struck the stone. Grandfather laughed as he saw the large, narrow piece of stone land on the ground. Awasus picked it up and held it in his hand while Grandfather shaped the smaller stone for Susep. Grandfather pecked the stone with a piece of deer antler. Small flakes fell to the ground. The boys watched as an arrowhead was being formed. As Grandfather worked, he began telling a story. It was a story of Glooskap and how he taught people how to hunt. It was on the shores of a large lake that Glooskap and his party of hunters saw a cow moose and her calf emerge from the woods on the shore of the lake. He bent down to the ground and picked up a small, sharp stone. He affixed this to his stick, notched it in his bow, and shot the cow moose dead. She was as large as a mountain and fell to the shore, part of her body in the water. The party approached her to receive the gifts. However, when they went to cut the belly of the cow moose, all they found was stone. The entire cow moose had turned to stone. She was now a mountain of sheer rock. Grandfather looked up from the finished arrowhead and looked at the boys. The boys' eyes were wide with amazement and awe. He held up the finished arrowhead between two fingers. Susep looked intently at the point. Grandfather told the boys that the cow moose didn't turn into just any stone, but that stone that Glooskap had picked up and affixed to a stick. Her gift wasn't meat. Her gift was stone. Stone that was perfect for making arrowheads and other hunting tools. The boys knew that these were the stones that Muckway had brought. For Awasus, Grandfather didn't make an arrowhead. He had said that the stone will tell you what it wants to be, and Awasus' stone wanted to be a blade.
I shall now clean the earth of all obstacles, and shall also continue to make for you and your children all the tools of stone, until such time a power be given to you to make them yourselves. Now when you make the bow to shoot with, make an arrow also, and make it so that the end next toward the animal be pointed. You shall burn the end so that it shall be hard, and when you send it forth, it shall penetrate into the body, and the animal shall fall dead, so that you can prepare it for food.
In the spring of 2015, the Penobscot Nation joined others in an epic canoe journey that retraced Henry David Thoreau's journey with Joe Polis in 1857. Tribal Historic Preservation Officer Chris Sokolexis was one of the representatives from the Penobscot Nation to join the trip. The first day of the paddle, the length of Moosehead Lake, brought them just past the precipice known as Mount Kineo, just past the Cow Moose. While the evening meal was being prepared, Chris removed some stones from his bag and began flint-knapping them into arrowheads. The other participants watched as Chris chipped away at stones that had been harvested from the belly of the cow from Mount Kineo. Henry David Thoreau and Joe Polis had camped near Kineo in 1857. As they approached the sheer cliff mountain, Thoreau wrote, "While we were crossing this bay, where Mount Kineo rose dark before us, within 2 or 3 miles, the Indian repeated the tradition respecting this mountain's having anciently been a cow moose, how a mighty Indian hunter, whose name I forget, succeeded in killing this queen of the moose tribe with great difficulty." The story that Joe Polis repeated to Thoreau is a well-known story in Penobscot culture. Gluskap, a central figure in many cultural stories, and the name that Thoreau forgot, is teaching people how to hunt. The hunting party was on the shore of a large lake when a cow moose and her calf appeared out of the forest. Gluskap bent down and picked up a sharp stone from the ground and affixed it to a stick. This stick he notched into a bow and shot the cow moose dead. According to the story, her demise was the birth of the mountain. The cow moose turned to stone. She became what we know of today as Mount Kineo. Often stories from the past can seem fantastic and supernatural, but these stories persist through time for very important reasons. Within many stories are clues on how to live, where to travel, or where to find resources. This story is about resources. The cow turning into stone seems fantastic and supernatural. However, the cow doesn't turn into just any stone. The cow becomes a mountain of the same stone that Gluskap picked up off the ground and shot from his bow, killing the moose. She became a mass of stone, perfect for making arrowheads. The story of Gluskap and the moose is a tale embedded in the landscape, and it is bound geographically. People who knew the story knew the location and the importance of the resources at that location. Kineo became a quarry for stone sought after by indigenous cultures paddling there from hundreds of miles in any direction. The point of the part of the story is not the hunt for the moose, but the resource materials needed to kill the moose and the location of that material. The participants watching Chris create an arrowhead became spectators to a tradition that stretches back thousands of years. The fact that it was taking place in a space where generations of Penobscot people had done the same activity connected Chris and the spectators back through time and to his Penobscot ancestors. Each strike of the stone echoed through the fabric of time.
Since I was very young, I've always been interested in archaeology. I had a family member, elder family member, who became an archaeologist and taught me a lot about Maine archaeology, and so I've been very interested since. And growing up with that, I learned how to flint knap along the way, making stone tools. And for me personally, I love to get different stones to make tools, but my personal favorites is when I go up to Mount Kineo to collect the rhyolite. To where I feel like I go up into the belly of the moose to get the stones that I want to work with. And I could spend all day just looking for a handful of stones to work with. But it's a very special place up there, and
Just keep walking.
and you can see a lot of history. Thousands of years of history just on that one mountain, through random flakes and debris to actual arrows and spearheads.